Hey guys, Claire here, and in today's video, we're going to talk about all things Harry and Meghan. Prince Harry's polo-playing brother from another mother, Nacho recently shared via Instagram stories new videos of American Riviera Orchard raspberry jam, and also some homemade dog treats. Now, the dog treats does not include the official American Riviera Orchard logo, so only time will tell if dog treats is something that would be included in the launch of ARO, or perhaps it's just a cute little treat for the puppers.
Jamgate starts again. Nacho Figuero's friend of Meghan and Harry posted this yesterday. It's 2 of 2, so it's raspberry this time. And he posted this. I'm not sure if he was aware of the date or anything, or he's being petty, no idea. But he posted a couple of things. So this is the first one he posted. Here posing with the doggy. Then there's this jar with the dog biscuits. Now, obviously, it's written in her calligraphy style. There's no label for the Riviera Orchard on there, but who knows? Maybe that's another product of her. And he ends with this. Good things come to those who believe. Better things come to those who are patient. The best things come to those who don't give up. Okay, so nice that he's supporting Meghan here, obviously. It's all a bit random. But let's see what this means, and if that means there's a launch of the American Riviera Orchard soon, then I'm sure that's going to be a big deal for everybody.
We also recently found out that Clever Blends, of course, which is a brand that Duchess Meghan invested in, is now available in Whole Foods. Congratulations to the Clever Blends team, from local pop-ups to Amazon to Target, and now Whole Foods, onwards and upwards. In previous videos, we've spoken about the current CEO of the Washington Post, Will Lewis, his relationship with Prince Harry's ongoing case, and a lot of accusations of shady things that he's been doing since taking up his role as the CEO of the Washington Post. He's been accused of using fraudulently obtained records while reporting during his tenure in the UK, specifically his tenure under the Rupert Murdoch umbrella. There's so many details that have been reported on recently. I'm beginning to wonder if his tenure here at the Washington Post will be as short-lived as, let's say, someone like Piers Morgan. Remember, he had a show, was it with CNN? Well, one of the US media platforms, and that was short-lived. And a lot of the things that Piers was sort of accused of, Lewis is also accused of, and there's been such an outrage over Will Lewis and the 2 transplants from the UK media that he's bringing over to the Post. So, I don't know, it's very interesting, to the point where on Twitter today, well, as I'm recording this, it's on Monday the 17th, I saw toxic British media trending on X. So yeah, that gives you an idea of just how many people on Twitter, or X, is currently tuned into this conversation. Prince Harry tried to warn y'all. Now, recently we had the 2024 Trooping the Color. A lot of conversations on social media. There are people talking about just how sparse the balcony looks, and there was also people sharing the aerial shot of where Trooping of the Color takes place, and just showing how minimal the crowd was this year. Honestly, I was surprised. Personally, I did not watch it, so I see screenshots and videos on social media, but yeah, I didn't tune in. But I was surprised by just how small the crowd would be, especially since we've been hearing so much about, Charles's diagnosis, and then put in the fact that Kate was going to be there. There was some booing. We saw the video for that. And of course, the Not My King people were there as well, with their bright yellow signs. They've really been on Charles's back ever since he ascended the throne. And can somebody tell me why these people are still insisting on adding Harry and Meghan and their children into conversations that have nothing to do with them? There's an article that states, looking at the images from Trooping, what is clear is that someone needs to dispatch an emissary to Montecito to see if some sort of making up can be brokered. See, it's not just Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who are missing from the balcony scene, but their kids, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Really? People made that woman's life a living hell. Made Harry's life a living hell when he decided to protect his wife and leave with her. You've othered their children. And now you have your bland and boring balcony. The balcony that you tried for years to insist that is something, oh, Harry and Meghan are missing. We're showing them. You're not allowed on the balcony. Simply because you didn't want Meghan and Harry sucking up all the oxygen. Now this is what you have. Bland and boring. Deal with it. And there have been a lot of conversations about Kate and her illness. So we're going to touch on 2 points as it relates to that. The first one was that incredibly sycophantic article written by Alison Pearson for The Telegraph, referring to others as lesser mortals. Child, the classism and elitism is strong with this article. And it is so disgusting because you have so many people. Cancer is just such a thing that is very prevalent, right? I don't think there is a family that I know that hasn't experienced the loss of a loved one or experienced having a loved one going through battling cancer diagnosis. Am I surprised by the article? The tone deaf, condescending, sycophantic tone? No. Since I've been paying attention to how the British media speaks about the royals and specifically Kate and William, in a post-Meghan era, I'm not surprised. But it's interesting to see the comment section under the Telegraph post for that article. Ooh, people have been going in on them, and rightfully so.
I already thought the UK media was in hell. I don't know how they managed to further lower the bar, but here we are. Because Alison says, when lesser mortals would have stayed at home, Catherine proved that the show goes on. And I think that this is indicative of what a lot of us have been saying around Kate Middleton, that it's never been about Kate, that it is about what she represents, the wealth, privilege, power, classism, elitism, and white tea supremacy. That is what Kate represents for these people, because even this statement strips Kate of her humanity. Because if you believe Kate has cancer, this is a life-altering diagnosis, and the treatment for it is brutal. Because what do you mean lesser mortals would have stayed at home? She has. Kate Middleton has been MIA for 7+ months. The incidents surrounding her disappearance, so badly handled, that Kensington Palace has forever damaged its reputation around the world. That is no longer considered a trusted entity due to how badly they have mishandled this. And not to mention the poorly worded statements, the outright lying, manipulation, and gaslighting of the public with these altered photos and videos. A lesser mortal would have stayed at home. Baby girl has. What are you talking about? She hasn't been out and about. But I love how they try to give her everything when, quite frankly, all she did was walk and sit in a freaking horse-drawn carriage. What are you talking about right now? Lesser mortals? You mean the people that don't have the luxury of a multi-billion-dollar industry where you have access to some of the best doctors and treatments in the entire world? Where for the families who either they themselves have cancer or their loved ones have cancer, how it completely halts and alters your world? How the rest of us have to continue to go to work, to school, to interact with the world, that there is no hiding, that the rest of us don't have castles where we have maids and cooks and nannies and tutors to raise our children, to have round-the-clock nursing care. What did William say? They had, 2 Filipino nurses? Around-the-clock care. Because we couldn't be seen for 7+ months. But somehow, the people who have to brave the world day in and day out, they are lesser mortals than a woman who has more privilege than any one person should ever deem to have.
Now, there have been so many conversations, of course, about her looks, because that's what a lot of the conversations when it surrounds Kate is focused on. What she's wearing, or what she looks like. Some people saying, oh, she looks so frail. Some saying she's always been slim, so they don't really see a difference. Some saying she looks rather refreshed for someone who is going through what we've been told that she's going through. And there are even conversations of people questioning the diagnosis, and not just of her, but of Charles as well. I've seen some people saying that if Charles is ill and going through his treatment, why is he kissing the hands of multiple women? It turns out it wasn't just the First Lady of France. I believe I saw that there was a photo of him kissing the hands of some other woman at some event. I believe David Beckham was there for that charity that had the big scandal. And that is interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't be kissing the hands of anyone if I was going through treatment. You know, the germs, bacteria. I can't imagine that would be helpful. There have also been people who are saying, isn't it interesting that the two people who right before all of this went down was accused of being concerned with how dark Archie would be? Royal watching, specifically for the British royal family, there is never a dull moment.
Very quickly, welcome back. I hope the flight back from Houston wasn't too rough, but let's pick up where we left off, which is that you were caught trying to distribute digitally altered images through official wire sources like the AP, and you were caught. And there was no answer about that. Real answer about that. On top of the palace posting that goodbye video of you in quotes, didn't pass the AI smell test against other comps. This is not some anticipated heroic return. The only return I want to see is this family returning the body of that trafficked child prince from Ethiopia. The one whose body y'all stole and buried at Windsor Castle. The one whose bones, to this day, you refuse to return back to their family. Boy who was orphaned and trafficked at that age, who didn't even live to see 18 in the custody of those people. Queen Victoria herself said that child was miserable because of the never-ending racism they endured, while also saying that it's a shame the child died so far away from their fucking family, and then buried that child in something chamber deep in St. George's Chapel where people get married, far away from said family. For the last nearly 20 years, there have been organized efforts to get this family to return that child's bones back to Ethiopia, and they continue to refuse. The closest his family has come is getting a lock of his hair back last year, alongside other items his family looted at the same time they looted that child. And when I say family, that also includes all the dukes and generals they've sent out into the world to go colonize and terrorize people. Again, the request to return this child's full body was denied again last year by Buckingham Palace, who said it would be too difficult, I guess because there are other bodies buried down there with him, although I don't think personally that any of those bodies really deserve to even rest in peace anyway.
This headline from yesterday, I just find it a little bit sycophantic, a little bit sickly sweet, a little bit cherry pie. It was great to see Kate. She looks absolutely amazing for a cancer patient, particularly somebody that's undergoing extended cancer treatment. I've known a lot of people with cancer over my lifetime, and I've not seen anyone look as good as Kate. Even the people that have had mild cancer and mild skin surgery. I think the media should be free to say she's valued and she brings a new dynamic to the royal family. The sickly sweet headlines for someone that really hasn't achieved much with their life, to be honest. And that's not being unkind, it's just stating a fact. The sickly sweet headlines are not needed.
So what do you guys think? Did you look at it? I even saw some comments of people in my last video saying, thank you for not focusing on that return. And for those of you who don't know, I'm not a huge fan of the British monarchy or the royals in general. I am a fan of Meghan long before she met Harry. And I feel like the way that they've been treated and the way that their children have been othered is absolutely deplorable. So this is why I do these videos, because I want to highlight or discuss the hypocrisy and the double standards. But if it wasn't for that, I really wouldn't pay attention to that family, because I don't really care for them. To each their own. There are people who do. I'm just not one of them. But yeah, it's interesting. And thinking of all of the things that the palace seems to be hyper focused on, that unhealthy obsession with chasing popularity. But when you really look at so many different factors, you gotta wonder, how fruitful has that obsession been? Was it worth it to throw Harry and Meghan under the bus? To completely destroy the relationship that Charles had with his son and William had with his brother? Then you have Charles, who routinely puts out these talking points. Or is it Charles? Personally, I don't think Charles cares. I think this is Camilla and the palace press putting out these things to sort of humanize Charles, say that he wants to see his grandchildren. I don't think he cares. Who would make it happen if he did? Remember when the last season of The Crown was about to come out? Charles and his people let it be known how upset he was over The Crown and making sure that people know that it was drama, it wasn't factual. He cared more about that. He cared more about putting out that message than he cares about seeing those children. And that's just looking at his behavior. So you have Charles doing all of that. You have him supporting Andrew and Spacey and continuing to try to punish Harry to get him under control, even though that clearly is not working. Then you have the conversation surrounding William and Kate and the way that they threw Meghan under the bus when the rumors about William and Rose started to come out. But now, conversations about him and her are mainstream. So that didn't work. Yeah, the UK press doesn't touch it in the same way that other places do because of that injunction. But it's out there. And then you have Camilla hanging out with Rose. And you have Charles making sure that Rose's son plays a starring role in his coronation and then in one of those recent things that him and Camilla did. You have people who spend so much of their time online criticizing and tearing apart Harry and Meghan in the name of defending their beloved royals. But then you have the trooping occurring and the crowds are abysmal. I'm thinking, since we have been told for years how popular the family is, the crowds would be incredible. We're no longer under the confinements of the pandemic. Don't have to wear masks. Everyone's just sort of moved on and returned to our regularly scheduled programming. So I was expecting to see a lot more people. That didn't happen. So again, all the mudslinging, was it worth it? Was it worth it? I do love that Meghan has simply moved on. She said what she needed to say, which was significantly less than Harry's, even though, royal stans would love to tell you that Meghan's entire existence is all about trying to destroy the monarchy. That woman really doesn't talk about the monarchy or that part of her life. Not very much. She said what she needed to say in the Oprah interview, spoke about her lived experiences as she is entitled to, and she has moved on with her life. UK press hasn't. Self-proclaimed royal fans haven't. I admire the grace and strength that Meghan has shown while dealing with it all. She keeps her head held high and a smile on her face and continues to just do the things that she loves. Peaceful under a tree. A lot of the way that Meghan has navigated that insane tsunami of hate reminds me of that quote by Toni Morrison that says the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. there will always be one more thing. And as we've seen over the years, there truly has been always one more thing to criticize about Meghan, one more narrative to create in order to criticize Meghan. But she continues to be undistracted and unapologetically her. I admire that.
You know, I'm truly starting to believe that this whole cancer thing was just a PR stunt. I really, really wish I could get a peek into that medical file and just to find out. Because at this point, I don't put nothing past that unroyal family. I think they will do anything to regain the popularity that they once had. Kudos, Meghan. You ain't had to say shit, girl.